3 for 3, presented by Nobody.
Look at this. Unreal. Right arm across your body! Ready? Begin! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait! Ready? Begin!
What makes our section unique is that, I mean, you look at other sections around the area, and yeah, they'll dress up, they'll throw powder, they'll scream, they'll cheer, but we took it to the next level.
Wait! Ready? Begin!
I've always known the Pine-Richland student section to really be the physical embodiment of the word ignorance.
Well, the student section experience is definitely one of a kind. I mean, we're loud, we're proud, we're rowdy, okay? I mean, you come to Pine-Richland, you're getting that unique football game experience. You're not getting that at NA, you're not getting it at Seneca.
I think you'd have to really wonder what doesn't make our student section unique. We are just so creative, and the exuberance from the fans is just absolutely astonishing. We're lifting people up, we're throwing people around, and people are gonna die. There's not gonna be like a safety issue there because we're kids.
If I describe the student section one way, it's probably got to be Tim Rupert. I think that man really encapsulates the Pine-Richland student section. He's very calm, but at the same time he gets to the point. Runs a really good class, just like we run our student section.
Compared to other student sections, it's a blowout. It's black and white. NA, they stink. Seneca, who? Central, yeah, they stink too, We're just the best. It's simple as that. When being in the student section or looking at the student section, the first thing that comes to your mind to describe it is YOLO, You do things there that you wouldn't do in school, but that you wouldn't do in jail, You're gonna kill someone in there, and they're gonna die, and you're gonna laugh about it. But you're not really gonna get in trouble for it because you're just in the student section, so hey, love it.
Just non-stop chaos. Blood, tears, sweat was poured into that section. We took something so simple as a group of kids cheering for a sport and turned it into practically the most physically violent dance club you'll ever stumble upon.
Imagine a small city or village rioting, but in a set of bleachers is really how I would describe how the student section operates.
The student section was sometimes scary. I can think of 5+ times that I feared for my own life while standing in that student section with Drake Brashear on my left, throwing elbows, throwing punches, throwing up on people. The monster is something that, you're excited about, you're nervous about.
I think it's called the monster because it's vicious. It's got teeth and it's bloodthirsty, like a monster.
If you stand outside of the student section just for a little bit, a few minutes, you'll realize just some of the organized chaos that goes inside.
Well, simple Google search will tell you that a monster is an imaginary creature that is large, ugly, and frightening. And the student section definitely took on that persona this year. There were a lot of kids that showed up. We were loud, and Definitely frightening.
But it's scary. It's scary sometimes. And, at the beginning of each week, you're excited for that Friday night. You're excited to see what the energy's going to be like, but in the back of your head, you're hoping that you're going to be able to walk after that game, because God knows what is going to happen to you in that student section.
It's called the Monster because it's basically like playing 2-on-1. Say you come into the basketball gym, you're not only playing the basketball team, but you're playing like 80 kids in the student section. 80 kids is about a monster, if you ask me.
We are fearless, we are relentless, we are mean, and we are not scared of any other student section or team, if that.
I've heard other schools like North Hills and Central Catholic also have pretty good student sections, but I can't imagine that they even compare to the monster of Pine-Richland.
Andrew Nussbaum proposed an idea early in the summer, and we never really believed that it would fall through. However, when it did, we were extremely excited.
Well, I was at a party with my buddies, and I'm sitting there dreaming up some ideas, and I go up to my friend Ben Burrows, and I say, how crazy would it be if we got student section speakers? And Ben kind of looked at me and says, Andy, you're nuts. And I'm just like, maybe. Then I give my friend Nick Roth a call. Fortunately enough, he has the speakers.
Nuss calls me up and he's like, hey, we need to talk about something. So we go out to eat, and he's like, I have this brilliant idea that we need the speakers. And I was a little iffy about it, honestly. And so we went and did a test run during the summer, and the speakers, you could hear them probably all the way down at like Babcock Road or something like that. They were so loud. You could probably hear it down at Taco Bell or something. But after a few trial runs, I really thought it was a good idea, and we got Zach Skirpin on board too. It's just a really great time.
The speakers this year definitely changed everything with the student section.
Really, it's become a part of who we are. Without them, we're not the Pine-Richland student section.
Well, the thing that makes our student section so unique is that we have so many different personalities in this grade that you can't match in other grades. I mean, last year, student section was great, but it's nothing compared to this year.
I tell Andrew Nussbaum to play Mad City on the speakers, and the student section starts jumping around. But you look closely into the crowd and you see this massive human, Jake Brashear, taking Kevin Goltz and apparently slamming his head off of the railing in front of the student section. That was crazy, and you can't teach that.
Jake Brashear really became a big part of the student section when he decided to grow his hair out. He's known as Locks of Love, especially by Mr. Duggar nowadays.
You're not going to find a better example of ignorance other than Jake Brashear at a Pine-Richland football game.
He became 10 times better of a student section leader when he grew his hair out. That's intimidating to other teams, and no one really wants to, go against him.
My good buddy Jake Brashear, that freaking hair. It's awesome, and he's fighting off girls at the game in the student section. Everybody wants some of that hair.
Whatever Schultz said about Brashear, that is not true whatsoever.
Jake Brashear is absolutely the smelliest kid in the student section. I'm pretty much guaranteeing that the freshmen and sophomores have complained. We went up there because I'm obviously up there, because I'm trying to sign autographs and, kiss babies, and they're talking about, oh my God, what's that down there? I'm like, that's Jake Brashear. That's him in his hair.
My favorite memory of Jake Brashear in the student section had to have been last year in the basketball game when Pine-Richland played Shaler. Gino Thorpe got into it with, I think, Dean, one of our players. And right when he did that, Brashear felt he needed to walk on the court about 5 feet, 5 feet on the court. Definitely, crossing his boundaries. And he yelled for Gino to do something multiple times to his face, and Gino wanted none of it.
fun while it lasted. Going to the hospital, that wasn't too much fun. Got wrecked in the woods by some security guards. Wasn't ideal, situation.
I think pretty much sums up Spencer's career as like the greatest Pine-Richland fan to ever come through Pine-Richland.
I mean, does the juniors have a kid like Robbie Fetterman? Is there a sophomore Ben Burrows? I don't think so. So I think really what you have in this 12th grade is that there are so many unique personalities that just can't be matched.
You have guys like Robbie Fetterman, Jake Brashear, Ben Burrows. These are talents that you're not going to find at another school in the Whippeal.
All right, when you have a student section like ours, you need it all starts at the top with our leadership.
The main leaders basically are Robbie Fetterman, there's Burrows, Schultz, and Barizo. I'd say that Robbie and Ben are most likely the ringleaders. They get everyone rowdy and get the chants pumped.
When you think of leadership, you think of Robbie Fetterman. I mean, the guy's practically a god around the school.
Wow, this guy's got some passion. You just don't go out on the street and find that every day. So he's definitely our emotional leader.
Robbie is one of the funniest people I've ever met. The way he brought that energy nonstop. I can never picture Robbie Fetterman sleeping. I mean, he's just nonstop energy and enthusiasm all the time.
And then Ben Burrows, he's pretty much a guy that'll do whatever you tell him to do. You could tell him, Ben, go up there and beat up 5 freshmen, and he'd go up there and beat up 5 freshmen and say, hey guys, we need to step our energy.
Schultz and Dana are a nice addition, you gotta have those extra guys. They're very key.
For me, I feel like I'm more of an organizer, just trying to keep all these guys in line and make sure a couple things get done every once in a while. But I wouldn't call myself a prominent leader, but I'm definitely one of the key parts of it.
You got a guy like Dane Barizo. His school spirit's always top notch. He's always bringing his A game.
Having to be a leader of the student section has to be one of the most important things that I have to deal with and be responsible for. And you can remember that I have to clean my sheets once a week on my bed, and I also have to scrub the toilet to make sure it's clean after every time I use the restroom. Blake Schultz, just another guy, loves to do the impossible. Whether it is impossible or it is possible, he'll try to do it. And once he finally does something that he's tried about 1,000 times, he'll say it took him 1 try.
Then the 3 people who run the speakers are myself, Andrew Nussbaum, and Zach Skirpin.
Well, you can't say enough about these 4 men. There's Blake Schultz, he's awesome. He's a great guy. Dane Barizo, decent guy, not the best. Ben Burrows, he'll swear at a 3rd grader. He doesn't care. And me, obviously you're looking at the best one already. We just, together as a group, the ideas that come out are just so creative and just so awesome. You don't beat them anywhere else.
The one underrated name that no one probably knew, that without him, there would not be a student section this good, and there wouldn't be the great music, and his name's Andrew Olson. Shout out to my boy right there, AO. Without him, he spent over 15, 16 hours ripping music, finding music, and without him, this whole thing would be just a big mess of 2013.
I remember during the first game with the speakers, it was our classy game. Everyone was looking real sharp, and I was standing down there with Ben and Robbie, and we sort of just looked up, and I told him, I said, you guys built this. You made something out of nothing. You took something that was irrelevant in our school, something that people sometimes chose to go to and wouldn't really partake in, and they made it something that would get people through the week. A Monday morning, you would think of a Pine-Richland home game that Friday night. That would get you through.
Well, in terms of leaders, you have guys like Robbie Fetterman, who is unlike anyone I've ever seen in that he can do it all. He's so versatile in that one night he'll bring out the roller coaster, and another night he'll just lead the student section and screaming at the other team. He's the jack of all trades for the student section. And also you've got guys like Ben Burrows, who are really high octane. They've got a lot of energy. They bring it every single Friday. Any given Friday, they'll be in your face and they'll let you know about it.
All day 2! Hey 2! Hey 2! You're washed up!
During the games, we usually try to get into the heads of the opposing players, and we start yelling things that are personal to them.
Hey, 38! Let's fight! Number 2! What's your SAT score?
Say if maybe you're a certain religion, you know, you're going to get made fun of for that religion, whatever it may be, and you're probably going to end up crying. I've seen tears on the field, and I mean, that makes it all the better. That's what it's all for.
Kids, like, in our student section get into, like, to arguments with, like, opposing teams' parents. Like, that doesn't happen.
Dad!
What do you say?
Hey, those are my sisters. I'm not gonna scare them. Dad, what's for dinner?
Hey, Rob, you want to sit him down?
I'm having too much fun. Washed up too, you scrub!
Looking back at all my years in the student section, I'd have to say the craziest 40 seconds of those 4 years was at our last home game when we decided to bring back the legend of Sandstorm.
We're sitting there, probably about 5 minutes left in the third quarter. I get the guys in the front row call me over. They go, ask John if we can get the Sandstorm on. And I'm sitting there like, there's no way he's going to say yes. Okay, so we go over to go ask John, and he's like, yeah, sure, you can play Sandstorm. So we put on Sandstorm. The music starts, and every single person in the student section goes to the middle of the student section just banging up and down.
During Sandstorm, I saw something that was unlike anything I've ever seen. You know, it turned out at first just to be a normal, you know, it's a great song, a lot of energy to it. And then at one point, I just saw bodies just flying on top of each other.
Terribly injured. I saw blood. I saw tears. I saw broken limbs. And people basically screaming for their lives.
I mean, I think I saw Robbie Fetterman dive from like 3 rows back. You know, I stayed out of it at least as much as I could, but you know, you can't stop the party. So I mean, I still continued to dance.
As soon as the song started playing, all built up adrenaline and testosterone just exploded onto the 250 plus students that happened to be standing there. I mean, I won't lie, I punched several people in the mouth. I kicked someone in the stomach, and I'm almost fully convinced I killed a person.
I think the craziest thing that's ever happened to me in the student section is whenever I finished my bottle of Mountain Dew and I decided I was going to try to hit my friend Tyler in the face. So I just gunned it down the student section and completely missed him and nailed Hope Lowry right in the mouth.
Alex Honeywell thought it was really funny to always hit me with water bottles, empty water bottles, during the football games. He'd just throw them from like 3 or 4 rows away. And he was aiming for me, and he accidentally hit Hope Lowry with an empty water bottle, who ended up giving her a concussion.
And she thought she was concussed. She went to the doctor. I think she's fine.
There was one time when I was doing the roller coaster, where our principal, John Petrozinski, actually decided that he was going to have a great time and jump into the roller coaster. And to see the look on his face when we really, you know, went down that first hill was just absolutely exhilarating. I can really not describe it any better for you. He was so happy, and so was I.
The craziest thing that has happened to me in the student section would probably be when me and Dane Berizzo got kicked out at Seneca Valley for crowd surfing.
It's pretty emotional when I think back to it, but you know, getting kicked out of the Seneca Valley football game on the road was heartbreaking as a fan. It was only the first quarter.
Cops came up and grabbed us by our necks and pulled us down to the front. I had Jake Leon's jersey tied around my head, and as he's walking me down through the walkway to take me out of the stadium, I took off his jersey and threw it up into the crowd. Got a standing ovation out. It was pretty awesome.
You know, a cop grabbed me by the neck, and he did strangle me and throw me onto the ground. And he did walk me and Blake Schultz out of the stadium and said we're never allowed to set foot back on campus. But, you know, that kind of really determines the character that we have as a student section, that we will do whatever it takes to you know, get the win for our team, because without us, I mean, our teams are nothing.
I'd say the student section contributes like 70% to the football win. They're just so loud, and like before the game, a lot of kids get there early and we yell at the opposing team. We set the tone. You know, when they run out that tunnel, they're dead without that student section. I mean, we give them the motivation and the energy, and without the motivation and the energy, I don't see them winning as many games.
I think the student section is solely responsible for any success that the football team has, you know, mainly because the student section calls all the plays.
You know, if you look back over the past 4 years, the Rams at home, they've been a lot better than they have been on the road. That's for sure. You don't just walk into the Ram Arena and expect to get an easy one if you're the opposing team. So, you know, we definitely add that element that, you know, we're not here to screw around. We're here to get in your face and make you feel uncomfortable the whole game.
Connor Slomka actually fumbled the football on the 20-yard line, I believe, and the ref like turned a quick glimpse at us, and we put on "What's Up, Suckers," and they overturned the fumble, and we got the ball back.
Well, what is success? Is it the football player making the play or the student section getting louder? The way that I look at it is as speakers go up, team success goes up, and that's a relationship I like.
Well, guess what? We got Robbie Fetterman. He's leading the squad. You know, I'm a big supporter of the football team, but I feel like I am part of the football team. I'm all in.
I actually think that the student section bridged the gap from AAA to Quad A for Pine-Richland as a football team. I also think they're the sole reason that they moved up to that class.
This year was actually the first year that they had a winning season in the Quad A. And you look at the student section, you go, wow, these guys are doing one heck of a job, because, you know, without them, there wouldn't even be a football team, obviously. And, you know, we're the sole reason for anything that they ever accomplish, any practice they ever have scheduled, any weightlifting session they ever have scheduled. It's all based on what we schedule as a student section.
Well, this being the first year that Pine-Richland student section was relevant in the area, we all, at the beginning of the year, jumped on the Whitfield Insider Twitter account bandwagon. You know, the first few weeks, all we were trying to do was just impress this account that we didn't really know who ran it. And, you know, we thought we started out strong. You know, we cracked the top 5 there for 1 week, but then I don't know what had happened, but the Whitfield Insider apparently hates Pine-Richland more than anything in the world.
Bottom line, the fact that we're not number 1 in the rankings is an absolute crime. We got the female talent, the male talent, the speakers. Nick Roth always dresses the part. That's key. Dave Randolph has a sign for every single person on the football team. That's big. I think they're flawed, similar to the BCS point system. And I probably credit that to Alex Honeywell. He's a member, I believe, of the Whitfield Insider program.
Guy must not get out of the house very much.
Alex Honeywell kid has no idea what he's talking about. If you look at it, I don't know any other student section with speakers. I don't know anyone that's as loud as us. We have a lot of people too. It doesn't look like it because everyone's so jammed together, but that Mr. Insider, Honeywell, he really has no clue what's going on.
For the first week they did it, we were ranked 5th. And however, since then we have dropped, which I think it's because of some personal issues between the North Hills and the leader of the Whitfield Insider student account. I think they're doing something, you know, behind the scenes a little bit of touchy making out stuff, and that's the reason why we're not number 1, because obviously we should be.
He does not have a single clue of what he's talking about, and he really needs to just get a grip and say, hey, I'm just an unathletic piece of crap that was never able to play sports. So what I have to do is I have to draw attention to myself and start tweeting about the Whitfield, yet I know nothing about the game of football or any other sport for that matter.
I remember the week that we got a terrible review because we sat down at halftime at the NA game, which is apparently a federal crime now. I heard that Alex Honeywell was now running the Whitfield Insider account, and that he was going out of his way to tarnish the reputation that we had built for this whole year.
You, Alex Honeywell, should never step foot in anybody's face again, because you're a disgrace to the human race.
I think it's garbage. I think you know, Alex Honeywell is a degenerate, is immature.
When I think of Alex Honeywell, well, I guess some people just want to see the world burn.
The punishment, going back to last year in the basketball season, definitely top 3 scariest moments of my entire life.
Well, last year's punishment was something I'll never forget. I had the privilege of being in the front row for it.
We're sitting there enjoying the Seneca Valley Pine-Richland game at basketball. I'm enjoying it. I have a cold Pepsi in my hand. I'm sitting with my buddies, Brendan and Honeywell, and I see Blake across the way. The energy's pretty high, and then we started chanting some expletives.
Everyone turned around and said "sucks" every time they announced the starting lineup for their player in their starting lineup, and then I guess Petro wasn't having any of it.
I remember just being in the front row, standing next to, I'm sure you all know, Ian Irvin. His mouth hanging open like always. We were just standing there, and I guess Mr. Petrozinski wasn't happy with our team, with the way we expressed our team spirit by making derogatory comments towards the opposing team. So we were standing there, and he came over and basically tore us to shreds for about 35 seconds. I soiled my pants.
I don't think we all realized the magnitude of the situation. We all kind of stood there for a second, and then I heard him utter the words "now," and then it was basically a massive stampede to the cafeteria.
So he actually removed us from the gymnasium and took us into the cafeteria where we were just verbally abused. He was really hitting us hard and really getting into us, and there were tears, people were crying. I don't really remember the content of conversation of what he was talking about, but it was awful. It was one of the worst moments of my life.
Really what went on in there was a verbal, just complete disowning of the grade. I have never been so terrified in my life, and really, I think it gave us a good reality check of what we were doing. And I think what made it even better was when we all came back in, the crowd went nuts. I really think it was a positive learning moment for the student section.
I think the punishment placed on the student section during the 2012 season really relit the fire of a lot of students. I think that just showed the acknowledgement that the student section was getting, albeit negative acknowledgement, but nonetheless, I think the members of the student section realized that they were under a spotlight, and I think this year we've taken advantage of that and shown people just how ignorant we can be.
And when I think about the Pine-Richland student section, I mean, we're game changers. We took a student section, we made it something so much more. The speakers are just incredible. It's a dance party nonstop. It's a vacation for 2 hours with all your friends, doing God knows what, hitting God knows who, and just going absolutely crazy for 3 straight hours.
Changing the game, that was our motto as a student section, and we did change the game. We're game changers. And in all honesty, how we changed it, we brought it to a whole nother level.
I've seen things in the student section this year that I'm probably not going to want to tell my children about.
The student section has always had a lot of potential. We've had a lot of kids and a lot of creative kids. But as the years kept going on, 2014, the class 2014 kept having more and more control of it. Now senior year, we've awakened the monster. I mean, this thing is firing full force, and no one wants to play at PR.
We're just looking to be the best student section ever, known to man, known to mankind. People say that Moon and North Hills, their student sections are great now. Pine-Richland, we're looking for that legacy, to the traditions and everything, passing down the speakers, passing down everything. That's what it's all about here.
Just chaos, awesomeness, just a fun time, great place to mingle, and we took energy and we brought it to a whole other level. We redefined the term student section. And so I hope that the underclassmen and the juniors who are going to be passed down the reins to the student section are going to be able to realize that, no matter what, you have the power to change something that we did.
As with the past 2 years, we will hand down the flag, the 2 helmets, the pads, the jersey. And with that, we're going to give them, a feeling of love. We're going to really give them something that they can cherish for the future seasons, because that's what it's all about.
It was Hick Week. It was an electric atmosphere. And of course the Rams won that night, and I was on my way home from the game. And my wife was driving, and she said to me, there wasn't a student in that fan section that didn't feel like they didn't help the Rams win tonight. And it was at that moment that I realized what we're created is just so much bigger than ourselves. If you can tell a group of kids that there's a ticket you can buy for $3 that can affect the outcome of a game, that can change something so much bigger than yourself, that's just something special right there. That's something you hold on to.
You find me the guy that said ignorance was bliss. You take him one night in October, down to the student section, Pine-Richland football game. You tell me what he's saying after that night, because I'll tell you something right now, and I've preached it over and over again. This student section was very ignorant.
For that Friday night, we all come together as one, and really we just unite as a student body.
No one will ever be better than us, ever, for the rest of eternity.
They said we couldn't ask about the speakers. We did. They said we couldn't play music during the game. We did. They said we couldn't be ignorant. We did.
We're better than you in every aspect of cheering, student body, involvement, spirit, committee, whatever you want to say. The PR student section this year, the Monster, is 1,000 times better than anything that's ever come through Whitfield.
It's amazing that we were able, a group of kids were able to take something that was so small and turn it into something that is recognized by so many people now.
Probably, perhaps, one of the greatest moments of our lives. And although this is the last year, we will have many more at our future places. And as we are at these future places, we will all remember the times that we shared as a Ram on this field. Rams on stage! 1, 2!